Back at Mindy's home, or wherever they are, Michael is feeling anxious about whether he did the right thing, and Jason says he did. And Michael's like, anyone else want to chime in? And then Jason makes a great analogy about prevent defense in the NFL, and it was all really good stuff.
It's called prevent defense. You don't take any chances and just try and hang on to your lead, but prevent defense just prevents you from winning. It's always better to try some.
Jason, that was coherent.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of The Good Place. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, I'm just going to go over the agenda real quick. I start with the potent notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the episode or series. Then I go into the episode overview, which is just me talking about everything that happened in the episode. Then I do the rank, where I rank the episode in 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to figure out what is the best sitcom of all time. Now, today we're going to be ranking the 7th episode of the 4th season of The Good Place, titled Help is Other People, written by Dave King and directed by Beth McCarthy Miller. Now, this series has been out for a while. It's available on Prime Video, so if you're worried about spoilers, you should watch it beforehand. Otherwise, just so you know, there are spoilers ahead. But without further ado, let's dive into the rankings here, starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
So this episode aired Thursday, November 7th, 2019. Yikes. The Good Place has dipped back below the 2 million viewer mark again, going from 2.211 million last week to 1.983 this week. Once again, not even keeping the 8:30 lead-in from Perfect Harmony, which had 1.997 million viewers. It was also the lowest of the night for NBC's Thursday night lineup, despite being in the coveted 9 p.m. slot. And as for competition, it got beat by everything except Legacies on the CW, which had 786,000 viewers. Million Little Things on ABC had 4.452 million. Mom on CBS had 6.204 million. And the winner of the night, NFL Thursday Night Football on Fox, which had 13.517 million. Who played, you wonder? Well, the Oakland Raiders beat the Los Angeles Chargers in Oakland 26-24. Pretty close game. Seems like it might have been a good one. Anyway, on to the next potent notable, which is the title here of the episode, Help is Other People, is a play on words from the famous line, Hell is Other People, from Jean-Paul Sartre's 1944 play, No Exit. The line reflects a theme that appears in both No Exit and The Good Place, using people in hell to torture each other. All right, and finally, you know we like to do some Tahani name dropping here. Well, this time she blurts out that she knows Sting and that she went on a shopping trip in, well, she says Ibiza, whatever. It's Ibiza. For those of you that say a Z like a Z, it's Ibiza with Princess Kate. All right, so those are all the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. Now, in this episode, we get the end of the experiment. It's one final day, and Team Cockroach is desperate to get as many points as they can before it ends. Eleanor is nervous, but Michael seems to be in high spirits, even wanting to do a magic show. I enjoy that they point out that a magic show doesn't really make sense in an afterlife where there is literally magic, but Michael really pushes it anyway. The good vibes are going to come crashing down pretty quickly as they find out that Simone has distrusted the neighborhood for months and has been gathering evidence. She thinks something is messed up and has it kind of confirmed when John spills the tea about Jianyu actually being Jason. Of course, when Simone points out that Jason isn't the only one who doesn't belong here, indicating Brent very strongly, Brent agrees. Shocking Chidi. But that's when we find out that Brent still believes that there's a best place and that he belongs there. The delusion of this guy is unreal. But Muffin and Ducky, Simone and Chidi, are on the case, and they go looking for more evidence. Now, they end up in Eleanor's office and are having trouble finding anything, which is what we find out Chidi is hoping for. He wants it to be true that Simone is his soulmate, and he tells her. Of course, Simone kind of shits on him and says she doesn't believe in soulmates, and also makes some logical points to prove her point. Like, why would Eleanor only tell one of them? Poor Chidi comes around to her logic, and that's when she finds the figuring out what makes people tick bulletin board thing. This leads to more questions. Why is it just those 4? Where's Jason? Where's Tahani? Meanwhile, Eleanor thinks maybe they should just rest on their laurels. Like Facebook or America, you know, you hope your early success makes up for the mess you've become. That was a really good joke that didn't make me laugh, but I liked it so much, I still included it in the overview. So there you go. Michael thinks they should try one last thing. That one last thing is to have Michael do the magic show he wanted to do, but he's going to end up creating a hole in the ground for Brent to fall into. The idea being that he's the worst person of the group, so if they help him, it'll gain them a lot of points. But only Chidi actually tries to help him as Simone and John run away. Kind of hard to blame Simone and John in this situation, I suppose. And I also want to mention another good bit while this is playing out. Back at Mindy's home, or wherever they are, Michael is feeling anxious about whether he did the right thing, and Jason says he did. And Michael's like, anyone else want to chime in? And then Jason makes a great analogy about prevent defense in the NFL, and it was all really good stuff.
It's called prevent defense. You don't take any chances and just try and hang on to your lead, but prevent defense just prevents you from winning. It's always better to try some.
Jason, that was coherent.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
Having Jason be coherent at the end of this episode was a lot of fun. Anyway, they decide to make one last attempt, so they lean into the idea that this is the bad place. Chidi says it is, and Brent doesn't believe it, but Eleanor and Michael start laughing maniacally and say, yep, it is, and that when the clock strikes 0, they go to the real bad place, which is much worse than this one. That the first year is just them toying. Brent still has trouble believing it, even when Chidi straight up tells him that he's a bad person. But right at the last moment, it seems like Brent is going to have a realization and is going to apologize to Chidi, but the experiment ends right in the middle of his sorry before he can really get it out. Well, it sure looks like humanity is doomed. I don't see how we can come back from this one, but we have like 6 episodes left, so we must, right? Well, before I spend time on figuring out how they pull this one out, let's find out how it ranked.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before I dive into the rankings, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help me out. But without further ado, let's go to the rankings. The first category is story, and I gave story a 5. I really enjoyed the story, though it was kind of depressing. I mean, through the first 7 episodes of this season, I haven't seen anything that would really give me hope that humanity is going to be saved. But maybe that's the point. Humanity is a shit show that just requires a little introspection.
Whoa, that's pretty deep.
So let's go to the next category, which is acting, and I gave that a 5. The acting is incredible on this show. I love it. There's really not much analysis I can do here. So let's go to dialogue, which I gave a 4.25. It's great as usual, but it didn't feel as funny to me this time. Though there were a couple of times that didn't just get me, but made me pause because it got me so well. The first, and I don't know why, but John saying, oh good, Muffin and Ducky are on the case, just really got me. And then Chidi blaming his drinking of almond milk being the reason he's in the bad place again. Obviously that's a callback, so it won't be as funny to people Antonio who haven't watched it from the beginning and still think it's not funny even though they refuse to watch it from the beginning.
It's not funny!
Anyway, let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 4. I think it's a little hard to believe that nobody would have figured out Simone was skeptical of the neighborhood and or seen her crazy board, or at least her working on it, but it's not terrible. It just seems a little unlikely. Other than that though, I think everything is sticking together well with the series, and this episode cohered from beginning to end. So the next category is character relatability, which I gave a 3. This score is super dragged down by Simone and John's reaction to Brent in the hellhole. I know that Brent sucked, but there's a difference between excluding Brent from the group and letting him fall into a giant hole to hell. Now I get that they're already dead and the characters are likely thinking, well, what's the difference? But I still think that the natural inclination would be to help someone who's hanging on a cliff in a huge hole. So there you go. All right, so some up and down rankings here, mostly up. Shouldn't take too much on a laugh counter to keep it in the top 3 tiers. And I didn't have a huge laugh counter, but it was decent. I had 14. And that puts the episode total at a 35.25, which means it just squeaked into the Holy Grail. And that puts the series average at a 37.85, which is in the Holy Grail. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. And for those of you who have been watching for a while but haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and or follow, like the episode, comment. You can reach me by email at info@therankpodcast.com with your questions, comments, suggestions, whatever. I will respond to you. Also, if you really want to support the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. But I will leave you with this. Why did Simone realize that being with Brent meant she was in hell?
Why is that?
Because there was no exit.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Meanwhile, Eleanor thinks maybe they should just rest on their laurels. You know, like Facebook or America, where you
Froze up again.